Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to some Call of Duty World War II. We're going with World War II gameplay for this video because it's especially relevant to the topic at hand, which is basically a hit piece that was put out by Kotaku against Sledgehammer Games co-founder and former executive, Glenn Schofield. Now, if you played Call of Duty World War II or paid attention to YouTube back when that game was relevant, then chances are you remember hearing about Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey all the time, up until their departure, when they would both move on to work on different projects outside of Activision. Well, yesterday, Kotaku posted this article, which is outlining an interview that Glenn Schofield had with Edge magazine, with writer Ian Walker essentially being mad that as part of developing Call of Duty World War II, Glenn had to travel around Europe, shoot old weapons, meet with historians, and study lots of important points of history that were going to be featured within the game itself. Throughout the article, Ian continues to call this kind of work a vacation. He lays claim that this kind of research and development is not even actual work, and then continues to be snarky about Glenn Schofield's new studio and the new game that they're going to be working on. In all honesty, this article was a waste of time and energy. Hopefully you guys don't even bother reading it, because again, it really is that bad. From the outside looking in, we have an incredibly jaded writer being upset that he has to write articles and tweet 500 times a day. Meanwhile, a few years ago, somebody like Glenn Schofield had to travel around Europe with a team of other Sledgehammer devs to make sure they got a bunch of historical accuracy within their World War II game. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought it'd be a bad thing for people developing a World War II shooter, the first one in a decade in the Call of Duty franchise, mind you? Who would have thought it would have been a bad thing for them to actually go to the locations that were going to be featured in the game, shoot the weapons that were going to be in the game, meet with historians, learn about the battles, learn about the locations, and things like that? Like, apparently that's a bad thing? I mean, it doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. It really seems like one of those, like, super jaded old people who are like, boy, I wish I could just sit in an office all day writing stuff down. Must be nice to have such an easy job. I used to have to walk up hills both ways, tossing lumber in the woods, and, you know, stuff like that. Like, this kind of stuff is... it's relative. Like, everything about this situation is relative. When you look at other people's jobs or what they have to do for their jobs, it's always relative. For some people, being a writer at Kotaku who's allowed to put out garbage like this and yet still be paid sounds like a pretty easy job, right? For others, being a YouTuber like me who makes fun of lazy hit pieces like this in their videos, that also sounds like an easy job, right? Because it is. Everything's relative. What's more important, however, is that a website like Kotaku, which has a ton of daily readers and a good amount of credibility within the game's industry, or at least they did when Jason Schreier worked there, they should be doing a better job. They should be doing a better job of covering things within Call of Duty. They basically cover COD to announce that hackers have been banned in Warzone, and they also cover when a new game gets leaked or when a new game gets announced, right? That's pretty much it. Meanwhile, they do nothing to cover the fact that things like Dark Matter still don't work within Black Ops Cold War. The fact that 25,000 kills puts you in the top 2% of the entire world 9 months into the game's life cycle, which thus points to an incredibly low player count, right? They don't discuss anything like that. They just discuss random things here and there because they're not really dedicated specifically just to COD. They cover all things, right? So Kotaku had an incredible opportunity right here to make a meaningful post about Call of Duty, which is still one of the most popular games out there, and instead some jaded fuck just puts out a hit piece about the development process of a game that came out 4 years ago? Like, it's ridiculous. Now, obviously, it's not Kotaku's job to cover everything and everything about COD, but if they're going to put out an article about Call of Duty, why not cover the actual important topics, right? Instead of complaining that Glenn Schofield had to live in a van for 8 days while traveling around Europe 4 years ago, why not actually discuss the important things that are happening within the Call of Duty franchise? I mean... games journalism, ladies and gentlemen, games journalism. Is it not wonderful? Maybe that's why people watch YouTube more than they read articles and stuff like that. I don't know. Who am I to say? But I just wanted to discuss this bit of nonsense and why it's actually detrimental overall to Call of Duty as a whole, and not only just detrimental to the reputation of Kotaku and this Ian Walker guy. The response to this article has been pretty rough so far. People online are pretty upset with just how targeted and blatantly vitriolic it is, with lots of other members of the games industry speaking out against this piece, and here's to hoping that next time when Kotaku decides to talk about the Call of Duty franchise, maybe they'll actually cover the important topics, because the more people we get talking about the actual problems within COD, the better. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.